Thank you. How is everyone today? Very good. What a beautiful festival. I keep saying it in all the classes, but it's an amazing opportunity to have Wanderlust here in Canada, to bring all of the yogis from all over the country together in one spot to share space and practice. It's a wonderful, wonderful thing. I'm very excited about this particular topic that I'm going to be talking about today, the future of Western yoga. One of the reasons that I'm most excited about this topic is because we are literally all a part of this growing experience and practice called Western yoga. Western yoga is at its root exactly the same as an Eastern practice of yoga, but as you start to draw away and into the cultural experiences that the yoga is working with, you see that it's actually quite different, which makes it an authentic experience of yoga that's being born here in the West. And truly, it hasn't been very long since the practice of yoga has had its first seeds planted here in the West. We're looking at maybe just over 100 years, which is not long at all, considering the fact that yoga has been around for thousands of years in the East. So quite literally, you are the pioneers of what is authentic Western yoga, which is very exciting. As you start to look at what it means to have a practice within the West, which could be called authentic, you have to start to look at what it means to have a practice of yoga and really how it all began. And as you reach back into the history of what yoga is, you begin to see that the original roots of yoga were based upon an individual's direct experience through experimentation with themselves, using techniques that were developed over an expanded period of time that spoke to a particular period of time and a societal infrastructure within that time. So again, as we start to reach back into the history of what yoga was, at the beginning there was actually no infrastructure to develop an understanding of yoga other than there was this concept of unifying with oneself. So quite honestly and earnestly closing the eyes and going inwards and connecting to a space of experience that is undescribable, that is a space of knowing that deepens your understanding of oneself. And this is truly the birthplace of the practice of yoga. So then what comes from that place is a technique, an analysis through a relationship to understand how did that happen and why did I go there. So through this analytical process of a relationship, the technique began to emerge. The technique was then mastered by that individual who kept going back to that depth of understanding within oneself, the connection to the space that they were calling yoga. This yoga existed before there was really a technique to it. So literally every single human being was going through a process of yoga, a deepening of an understanding within oneself, starting at a point of question. The question is simply, who am I in relationship to my environment? This environment that exists internally, that I see and feel when I close my eyes, but also an environment that I engage with all around me. This environment that I engage with is constantly stimulating the body and mind. the particular perception that the individual is facing is either taking that individual closer to an understanding of what yoga is in relationship to a union, or further away from what this yoga is. So the original foundation of what yoga is built on is actually not a single technique, but more a process that every single human being is under. And this is one of the reasons why it is so translatable and transferable from the ancient arts as you reach back to the East to the present moment, which we call yoga. The technique is slightly different, but the meaning and relationship is exactly the same. So we have to understand, as the pioneers truly of this growing practice of yoga, that the practice of yoga as a subtle energy has to weave itself through our cultural experience. Not only our culture, but also our customs. So this gathering of practitioners of yoga here at Wanderlust is weaving itself into the culture and custom of what is Western yoga. A moment and point where all of these beautiful souls can come together in order to celebrate an experience that we're calling yoga. A point of union that we feel. In a united front, we feel. And we attempt to articulate through metaphor, through poetic expression, what it is and how to get there. Which is literally no different from the ancient practitioners of yoga as they sat within their technique of meditation and developed insight and then began to write the Vedas and the Upanishads. So this connection from experimentation to experience, to grounding into an experience, through taking that experience through the fire of experimentation again and again and again, solidifies this very grounded approach to a scientific and inner science of yoga. So that without a shadow of a doubt, you know that what you feel is what you feel and what you feel is real. And the beauty about something that is real is that it is true. Like your true north, which is the mission of this entire festival that we're at this weekend. And the beauty about the truth is that the truth is the truth, and that's the truth. Which means you do not have to attempt to explain it because it just is. You are that truth. So through the fire of your experiment comes the experience. From the experience that you are creating, developing, realizing, connecting to, you once again put it through that fire of experiment and it becomes grounded, it becomes real. It becomes part of the fiber and foundation that is our expression of yoga. So just like our ancient wisdoms of practice, as you reach back towards the Upanishads and the Vedic times, we also need to ground into the foundation of what is real yoga. And what does that mean to you? When you rest in your chair and you hear this voice that's speaking to you, what do you connect with? When you say to yourself that I am a practitioner of yoga, what is that place? And as you develop that relationship, it's a true, earnest experience that you're having that is as honorable as the one that was happening thousands of years ago, that we say, wow, they are so amazing. Look at what they've done. So as we ground into our experience that we're having right now, we are actually developing an opportunity to create a foundational platform for the future of what is Western yoga. Your experimentation and your experiences, as they go through the cycle of inner science and becomes clearly true and real without a shadow of a doubt, makes it possible for another individual further on down the road to say, these people before me actually experienced this same experience that I'm having now. And they connect to it through the writing of books, through the expression of music, through talks that they find on YouTube. An interwoven, communicative connection that is an expression that has no words to describe it, but we all know what it is. And this is the power of the threads of yoga that exist for thousands of years, and it is not going anywhere. But at this time, we see a subtle difference because it is weaving itself into the culture and into the customs of our Western experience, which is very different from the cultures and customs of the East and of the ancients. So what we may do in order to enhance the process is to take on the responsibility as individuals, grounding into our practice. Who are you? And why are you here? These are two profound questions that as you contemplate them, it is the poetry and the beauty that we use in order to illustrate the experience that has no words. I'm excited, truly, about this future of Western yoga. Sometimes the criticisms towards Western yoga is that we cannot and do not understand the depth of yoga because we're not grounded within the language of Sanskrit, or that we do not follow specific rituals. But we always have to remember as practitioners of yoga that the language revolving around the yoga came after the experience had with the yoga. So it doesn't matter how you get there as long as you get there. And that as you are developing the relationship and as you go deeper into your particular technique of practice, it always shines bright as being the exact same as all the other experiences that are occurring. Because literally as we sit there or sit here, we are the self experiencing the self having an experience. Which is an interesting concept as you begin to think about it. The self experiencing the self having an experience. Individual selves experiencing an individual experience for the sake of a collective self experiencing a collective experience. So constantly, consciously or subconsciously, we are weaving. We are weaving this incredible rhythm upon the breath as we breathe, which is then held within the fibers of the body in a very specific way. The body is an amazing instrument. The patterning of the body says, I'm going to hold this expression right here, just the way that you're asking me to. And it's vibrating. So it's emanating a very specific vibration that is speaking to the state that you're having within your mind right now. And the breath is the one that is holding that rhythm. Inhale, exhale. Inhale, exhale. And as you breathe these long or short breaths of inhale, exhale, there's the subtleties, which is the nuances of the experience that you're having right now as a body and a mind. So this is the point of the self experiencing the self having an experience. So it's an individual expression as you meet into a collective, sharing space as a collective and going back into the individual experience. The weaving of modern yoga is exactly the same as you start to look closely at the ancient writings within the Vedas and the Upanishads. Even within the more modern Hatha Yoga text, the Samhita, the Garunda Samhita, the Shiva Samhita, the Hatha Yoga Pradipika, the process is exactly the same. Human being speaking to human being. There's no difference. If you look at Tibetan yoga, taking it as an outside looking in, it looks radically different from Indian yoga. But it took about 1,400 years for it to fully ground into what is now called Tibetan yoga. At the beginning, the two were very, very same, attempting to find what is the place of Tibetan yoga. And as it wove itself through the very particular cultural expressions, it became its own identity, which is feeding and nurturing the collective expression. So as we sit here and develop a relationship with ourselves, we get an opportunity to say that I am actually a part of something which is bigger than myself. A part of something that is speaking in two directions, both into the past and into the future, stretching as far as you can possibly see consciously, and then even further through the subconscious. And that wisdom that you see behind you as the past, and the foresight that you see as being the future, brings us into this present moment experience. So who are you really? Who are you beneath the face that you're showing me, beneath the particular thoughts that you're having, beneath the emotions that you are expressing or not expressing? Who is that which is so connected to this practice of yoga? And why are you here? Why are you here? Why would you come to a festival like this and attempt to connect to these teachers? Attempt to connect to fellow practitioners of yoga? Why? What is so incredibly important to you that you would make this pilgrimage? And that is what we need to draw to the forefront of your expression of what is your practice of yoga. That is what we need to ground into. It's not that they did it so much better. It's just simply that they did it. At this moment in time, this is as important as any other moment that has ever occurred within the process of yoga. And we need to harness that. We need to ground into it. To say, I honor the fact that I have Eastern roots, which is my practice. And I honor the fact that I must do something with this knowledge that I have. I must do something with the fact that I use a technique that is enhancing the developing mind. I must take on the responsibility to say that, yes, I am a part of this practice. And that is magic. There's never a moment that goes by that an individual who is practicing yoga doesn't connect to it. Think about it in some way. I know people who stopped practicing technically for 15 years or more. But during those 15 years, every single day they said, I thought about this practice of yoga. What is that? What is that? That feeling that we all get. What is it that we call the soul? We always reach into the ancient writings to gain inspiration and insight as to what is the soul. But the amazing thing is that if there were to be a soul, you have one. You have one. Which means there is actually no better person to engage the question with than yourself. You are the one that truly knows what your soul is. Nobody else knows. You may connect with a teacher or with a community, which may arouse particular states of expression which connects you to your soul. But truly and literally, you are the only one that can ever know it. And the most profound writing that you could ever read on the soul is 3 simple books. The book of the body, the book of breath, and the book of mind. These 3 books are the exact books that were studied at the beginning of the process of yoga, before any mantra ever existed, to understand what it is that is going to become this technique. As you begin to analyze what they found within the book, you can literally take it down into one single expression of sound, which is the mantra Om. So easy. We hear it, we see it all of the time. But this mantra is the symbol for all of the expressions of human experience. It's scientifically proven to be the root sound of all things. The mantra Om is the most finest form of matter. It's the center of the carpet, the center of the chair, the center of your body, the center of your eyes, the center of your breath, and the center of your mind. As this mantra expresses out, it takes on the vibration of whatever physical or energetic form it needs to, which is also based upon a relationship. So as we go back deeper into the expressions of what is your moment of experience within the practice of yoga, ground yourself into the space quality of your mind, your breath, your body, those 3 profound books, and connect to what cannot be expressed through a word, but it is literally a sound. And in that listening, you will find the connection to everything which has been inspiring over the past thousands of years. Exact same well. Human beings have been drinking from the exact same well. As we develop as a practice of Western yoga and we look towards the future, we have to start at the root. The root is a simple sound, as though it's the Big Bang, the moment when everything was created. And you flash into that moment many, 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 many times throughout the day. Like even through this discussion, how many times has this room disappeared and reappeared? And where did you go during that time? Again and again, you move into this point of inspiration and back again, stimulated by your mind, your breath, your body. So it becomes a process of relationship, a process of becoming very, very real. It has nothing to do with your thoughts. As you think and attempt to analyze what I'm saying, it has nothing to do with that. It has everything to do with the moment that you do not understand what I'm saying. That's the future of Western yoga. The moment that you do not understand a word that I'm saying. And if you are truly brave enough and strong enough to go into that space of unknowing, meaning you know nothing about what I'm talking about, that's the moment that you put yourself into the position of connecting to that exact thread of inspiration that was started at the very beginning of what is called yoga. Dissolving yourself to the point of knowing nothing, so that then you can have access to everything and anything that you need now. Opening your mouth and just trusting that something is going to come out. And what comes out is perfect for this moment in time and the people that you're with. No premeditation. Because with premeditation takes preparation, with preparation takes study, with study takes reading of books, with reading of books takes impression. Impression takes the idea of somebody else and places it upon the screen of the mind, then to replay itself. So the authenticity of what that is has been lost. And we're just replaying a pre-existing idea, which is not the expression, the genius, the intelligence of yoga. The future of yoga exists in your ability to be in relationship with a space, the space between you and I, that exact same space that exists between the cells of the body, within the rhythm of the breath, and within the states of the mind. Three become one. So three, body, breath, mind, become one. That one then ignites an incredible relationship with everything it sees and feels. This is the pioneering stage of what is called modern Western yoga. Fancy posture or no fancy posture, we're going there. It's inevitable. The weight of what is yoga is so strong that it pulls. And whatever is not heavy enough or light enough to follow this weight just simply dissipates. It cannot stay with this rhythm that is grounding itself. So if you believe that what you're doing is true, what you're doing is real, that the experiences that you're having from your technique of yoga is yielding something that is grounded. If you believe that you have good teachers that come from good lineages, then why not trust it and surrender yourself to this inner process that is occurring? Attempt to go to this place of not knowing and stay there and allow yourself to know what you know when you know it, and when you know it, you know you know. And that's true. I'd like to take a few minutes, if we could, just to close our eyes. And as we close our eyes, take the opportunity to rest into the body. And feel through this avenue of relaxation the space within the body. Truly, the body teaches us how to relax. So we should honor this fact. And as you relax into your body, allow your awareness to go to your breath. Breathing in and out of the body. The breath is the teacher of attention. If you're conscious, this is always where your attention goes. To the rhythm of your breathing in and out. Now notice how this space of the breath is connecting to the space of the body. And as you relax, you begin to notice how two are becoming one. In a very beautiful process known as Hatha Yoga, the body and the breath are teaching the mind how to ground itself into the experience of its own space. Teaching the mind and supporting the mind in the fact that it's okay to let go of thought and emotion. And in this grounding rhythm, three become one: body, breath, and mind. This internal environment of space is the exact same space that is found directly around you. You can feel the space just on the surface of the skin. The space that you feel both internally and externally is a field of potential waiting for your instruction. And as you soften yourself, what is it that you feel as you go beyond your day-to-day sensation, beyond your usual thought and emotion? What is that? This relationship that you are engaging with this space is your essential ingredient for your contribution to the future of Western yoga. Keeping the eyes closed, please take some full deep breaths and be very aware of the settings within the body, within the breath, and within the mind that is giving you this very specific experience. There are settings. Keeping the eyes closed, please bring your gaze into the space just there in front of you. So that which you call the observer, your gazing point, that space just in front of what you're calling the observer. Place your gaze there, and for 1 minute, please maintain the quality of the space uninterrupted by any other thought or idea. Pristinely held. Keeping the eyes closed, soften your gaze, but be aware of again those settings which held the space. And as you gently begin to open your eyes, see how long and how well you can maintain the quality of space within the body, within the breath, within the mind. Keeping in close connection the settings that were there, especially within your gaze. I think that you get the idea that I'm attempting to express. It's a long game, and what's happening right now is just a decision that's happening for a moment. And the more responsibility that we take as individuals, just the little ones, one by one by one by one by one, to self-realize what is the direction that is true yoga, then the rest is easy. So it's just you, this is it, and then it's me, and then we meet together. Well, thank you very much, everyone.